Oh why, hello fellas, I'm currently in Tossa del Mar in Spain. And so far I'm enjoying my holiday really well. I bought myself a Lego Ninjago Jungle Raider, so far things were pretty great. And since Tossa del Mar is a more touristy place in Spain, I thought, hey, maybe I can buy another Lego related thing there. So off I went. So if you're like me, naturally those stores would be very, convenient to get a little souvenir to take back home, so... What is this? What has my life become? Bootlegs suck, and there's really no denying it. Often when a new toy line becomes very popular, companies from around the world will try to steal that credibility by ripping off the idea, however no one buys them because no one cares. But for some reason, Hero Factory bootlegs generally both fascinated me and infuriated me. Of course, with me growing up with the series, of course. Some knockoff Yonkel and Hero Factory sets are actually exact replicas of the original set, and therefore can be much cheaper alternatives if the original set is very expensive in the aftermarket. While some other pieces are actually exclusive to bootleg sets, and as a result could provide for some fun experimenting when it comes to mock building. But generally, these knockoffs are pretty terrible. So I'm going to show you a bunch of photos that I took in Spain, and I'm going to discuss about these rip-offs as well. So here are two rip-offs that I found in Lefranc, also in Spain. And they are both rip-offs of two Savage Planet Hero Factory sets, that being from left to right Stringer 3.0 and Rocker 3.0. One thing I appreciate about these knockoff sets is that the animal motif helmets that both these rip-offs have could fit in with a Glatorian Bionicle headpiece. Fortunately for me, this is the only Rocker and Stringer rip-off I can find when taking pictures of these in Spain, and while I certainly do not appreciate my favourite character in Hero Factory being ripped off, I can safely say that it's one of the more nicer looking rip-offs, with having a nice colour scheme of red, yellow and black. The same unfortunately cannot be said about Rocker's rip-off, which is a weird mix of yellow, green, blue and orange. It's just such an eyesore to look at. The internet is already well aware of the Police Legends rip-off Hero Factory series. And while I love the fact that they're not complete rip-offs, while opting to mix both the designs of the 2.0 and the Breakout series, they're still rip-offs regardless that tries way too hard to be a cool collectible. Let's take Nexus stats, Assassin stats, for example. Value of life, 600? That makes no sense. Isn't he called Assassin? Okay, what's the next category? Attack power, 700. Defense, 800. Why is this reminding me of Pokemon? Ability to execute, 700? But this is for Police Legends. It's against police regulations. So yeah, as you can tell, Police Legend makes very little sense, but what if I told you that this wasn't the only Police Legend Hero Factory ripoff that ever made it to shelves? Because crikey, it gets a lot worse. And only for a cheap price of 850 euros. More on this guy later though. Let's look at his comrades, shall we? Let's start with him though. I do not know what the designers were thinking when coming up with this bootleg. We must have thought, how about I take this set and put this guy's face and not bother with the electricity effects. And then we get to this knockoff, which looked like someone had Breeze Breakout and Breeze Brain Attack and just poorly made a combination of the both, and then threw in a Chima weapon for good measure. For that being said, it is one of the more nicer Police Legend figures, with a nice mix of green and silver. But this one has to be my least favorite out of this particular line. I mean, it's just such a mess. To me, it looks like a weird and bizarre amalgamation of Hero Factory sets. I mean, you get Bulk's heads, and most of the body and their hands are clearly belonging to Infernos, Then he gets Evo's weapon from Hero Factory Breakout. And then this guy's got a claw for some reason. This figure is just such an incoherent mess, and I can't decide whether it looks charming or ugly because of it. And then we have this guy who looks very almost reminiscent to Brain Attack Stormer. What with the main armor plates and the sword and the face plate. But the difference is that he has one side of Split Face's torso, and he also thought it was a good idea to steal Captain America's shield. Also, you might have noticed that his arm is detached. Either he wasn't just strong enough to carry Captain America's vibranium shield, or it's just the fact that this is a bootleg, and therefore bootleg have really terrible plastic quality. Another fake LEGO line that you guys might also be familiar with is Space Warrior, which is a fake LEGO Bionihero series which rips off the protectors from the 2015 reboot series. But my god, the names of these Bionihero bootlegs just made me laugh so loud. So I'm gonna quickly touch base on them. Space Warrior. The new round of war began in space. Space Knights off. Jeez, that made no grammatical sense whatsoever. Like, what?
DIY, collect all.
Well, if there's a big war in space happening, then surely I would love to meet our new Space Knights. Who they called? Keeper. As in, like, a goalkeeper? In that case, I think sports is more for you. Blue Water God. What sort of name is that? You're not a Space Knight. You're on an entirely different level. Cirrus. Literally the most normal name out of all these kooky characters. White Dwarf? Then excuse me, sir. How come your armor is brown? Oh yes, it's everyone's favorite Spider-Man villain, Green Goblin. Yes, my G, Green Goblin. No, not that one. That one's fake. This is the real Green Goblin. This is the real deal. No, this is not a conspiracy. This is the Crystal. Not as normal as Cirrus, but here we are. Okay, I know that they're not Constraction related in any way, but I also found these really cursed Next and Knights rip-offs. These figures are just essentially upscaled figures with upscaled accessories and an upscaled plate to stand on, which is a concept that I find very, very unorthodox. Despite him looking very different to his original appearance, Axel doesn't look too terrible. Oh, I'm sorry, he's not called Axel anymore. He legally changed his name to Strong. I found the rest of this absolutely cursed wave in another store, and while Lance and General Magma at least look accurate to their original minifigure counterparts, they both retain Axel's yellow headgear, which completely destroys the aesthetics of their characters, and therefore make looking at them such an eyesore. Credit goes and only goes to Flamer's ripoff, as not only does he look the most accurate, but also generally the least cursed. Another LEGO theme that constantly gets ripped off by third-party companies is LEGO Ninjago. And while these ripoffs often suck, some third-party figures combine Hero Factory's buildable figure style with the characters of Ninjago. While some prove that concept could actually work, some others really don't. Like, for cheese's sake, this has to be the most ugliest bootlegs I have looked so far into this video. As mismatched and disproportionate some Police Legend figures were, at least some of them looked fine. But these sets on the other hand are just repulsive to look at. For example, this one has a very, very ugly color scheme, which I do not like at all. Rather this one at least try to have an interesting weapon storage feature, it just made the figure more hollow. And then we have this guy, who actually has a much nicer color scheme with a good range of black, blue and silver. However, is this guy really going to get away with a literal wing as a sword? Like, this piece specifically was designed for wings, for example, LEGO Bionihero Gorast, so that's just lazy designing right here. Generally, the only interesting thing about these two rip-off LEGO Ninjago sets is the fact that they have the helmet designs for two of the ghosts from the LEGO Ninjago Possession line in 2015. And then we get to my favorite out of all these LEGO Ninjago buildable fakes, which again, isn't really saying much. The reason why I like this one is because it looks exactly like Zane, and so thus the recognizability of that character leads me to appreciate this fake to some extent, and also do like the exclusive side pieces that it comes with, which would be pretty interesting to use for mock building. However, the figure is still ugly and very, very bloated. And while I quite like the look of the chest piece they used for this set, the sets could have looked a million times better without it. What I really do not like about these Ninjago buildable figure ripoffs is the fact that they look very inaccurate. There was never ever, and I mean ever, an orange ninja in the Ninjago series. However, I do commend the set for utilizing the arm ball socket joints to connect some armor, which makes them a bit more threatening. But then, looking closer at this box, you can see that he's holding his weapons the wrong way round, which just looks very ridiculous and very wonky. And to be honest, that also further proves that these companies don't really care about quality and just wants to rush these sets so that it can get into the gold mine of these popular LEGO sets. And then we get to this one, and holy moly, this has to be the worst Ninjago buildable action figure I have ever seen. While the color scheme for this figure is fine, everything else about it just looks so wrong to me. Looking at the face of this guy, I don't know what Ninjago character is trying to rip off. I can only think of two characters, both who were introduced in the Possession series. I can either think of Gultar or Ronin, but either way, these characters are still cooler than this abomination. And seriously, what weapon is he even holding? You might say nunchucks, but one stick is too long and the other is too short, so clearly they're not really nunchucks. I seriously cannot make out what weapon it even is. With the other fakes, at least I can make out what sort of weapon they are. I mean, one had two katanas, one had a sword which is actually a wing, but whatever, and one had two sais. But this, I just do not know what it even is. I would legitimately only buy this set for the neat little straw hat piece, but even then, that's a waste of my money, a waste of my time, and therefore a waste of plastic. While a few bootlegs don't look too half bad, the majority of them kinda really do. But you guys might be saying, but Bionihero, you're just talking about design. What about their play features? Do they pose well? Is the plastic quality really good? Would any consumer buying these sets show brand loyalty to LEGO?
Only one way to find that!
Why would I need instructions? The figure's already built. War for the invader form space. So does that mean that we're working for the enemy? That makes no sense there. The police legend. Remember when I said this early on in the video? Warn this guy later though. Yeah, it's time for me to take a look at one of the most obvious bootlegs, while also messing around with a physical figure so I can get a feel for some nice bootleg quality. Heavy equipment enthusiasm game. How could robots be enthusiastic? They're programmed to not be sentient. Although, if any robots were enthusiastic, then maybe Claw, because not only is that clearly Red Eye's PNG images, but also he looks like he's ready to scratch some criminals. Then again, Cannon looks a lot more gleeful, so... This figure in particular is a ripoff of Breakout's Next, the Hero Factory figure that I'm definitely quite fond of. To say goodbye to the awesome color scheme, the awesome music. Rename him Biochemical and you get this trash. I swear, from the moment I started posing from his arm, it just became super wobbly. And it just wouldn't stay in place, which is so annoying. And then this arm had very, very limited posability, when in actuality it's because the designers were schmucks and they put the wires at the back, which of course restricts posability. Looking at the actual figure, you can see that the wire is located at his right hip. So I did mankind a favor, and I remedied that mistake. The legs posed fine enough, even though the feet were incredibly tight, but the armor plates don't stick in their place and they wobble around, which is a thing that does my head in. One thing that caught my attention to this particular figure was this transparent orange harpoon piece. LEGO has never done a transparent version of these pieces, so seeing a transparent version of a classic harpoon gun just breathes new life into this age-old accessory. Then tell me, how come his head is opaque? It looks bland, it looks stupid. Why? Why? I don't even think about connecting and reconnecting these joints because they'll just become looser and looser and looser. One thing I unironically love about the set is the white version of Nexus helmets. The detailing of the helmet is still there and it just feels absolutely smooth. And this generally feels like LEGO could have made this. It's a shame then that posing this guy is a general nightmare, though it feels satisfying? And one last thing, there's a piece of gunch in the joints.
What the heck?
So overall, this figure sucks, and I just feel more in love with the original Breakout's necks now. Well, my golly, it's been quite a long ride, and we looked at a lot of strange bootlegs today. While some companies are willing to push the definition of bootleg, I think in this scenario we can all agree that the originals will always be the best. That's why plagiarism never ever, and I mean ever, works. What are your guys' opinion on these Hero Factory and Bionicle bootlegs? I'm open to any opinions. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which will probably be back in England.